Alright, and now it's time for the final episode. Remember, this was his life flashing before his eyes, so now it's time to get back to where we left off. So I'm about to fucking die.
I love how they flash back to the walrus, even though when you get down to it, the walrus wasn't even really a character in this story.
Well, it was just glossed over, like I mentioned at the beginning.
Oh, no, I know. But the first time I played this game, I thought that, the walrus was going to be like a playable member of the gang as well.
Like I mentioned at the beginning, I get the idea that there was supposed to be a bit more at the beginning, talking about also McSweeney, but we just left it off.
The door to the Cooper vault was opening. But that Dr. M, if there's any justice, he'll get his. I just wish I'd seen what was in there. A stockpile of my family's accomplishments.
Well, I think that's not the biggest problem right now.
My father have been proud of me.
You know, maybe this does explain some of his behavior and fees some in time.
Funny, but here I am at the end, and suddenly all I can think about
Stop thinking with your never regions lie. I get it that the blood pressure is probably scrambling with your brain, but that's not how it works.
That's the thing, Tio. Money is fleeting, but love is forever.
Quit playing around. Put our professional differences aside and see if we can make it work. That'll never happen now. Can't take this crushing. Just let the pain stop.
Whatever, Sly Cooper and the gang in Honor Among Thieves. That's the title of the game. I know what that is.
They said it, guys. They said it. We can all go home now.
Yeah,
Which will be naming this part a fucking nightmare.
I'd have thought the title would be Sly Cooper
Honor
and the
Among
gang.
Furries?
Help her be squished.
Yes. There you go, Tim. There's your title. Honor Among Furries.
Ugh.
See?
Anyway, let's pick up and see first the fact that the cane arrived at the got jammed into one of the floating devices.
Yep.
And good timing, it's Carmelita to the rescue.
You know,
Of course.
it just figures. They're always coming to each other's rescue at this point.
Lieutenant Gronk, get your squad together. We're about to see some action.
Yes, ma'am. Lock and load, you apes. We're going.
By the way, how was
do you want to live forever and stuff? Why not?
By the way, Bob, how was your most recent vocal surgery?
So yeah, now it's time for Carmelita to beat the shit out of a mutant. And surprisingly enough, the only way that the beast has to attack you is to throw the mercenaries at you. Because, but again, I get the idea this moment is a bit cathartic because you've seen the beginning, the fact that Sly could not do jack shit against this, and now comes Carmelita with her overpowered pistol, basically destroying it.
You know, I like to imagine that her particular pistol is an experimental model, and she's just the most trusted one on the force and the only one they trust with
Honestly,
a gun that
Joe,
powerful.
the way they paint her in this game, it seems that Carmelita is pretty much the only cop present in the world because everyone else is secretly a criminal in disguise or something else.
I guess, to be fair, maybe the police had a wide reformation after the events of the second one.
Okay, to be fair, no. We have seen helpers to her in the first game, which of course were pigs, of course. We have seen the mercenaries here, which are more like a police force made by gorillas, and we've seen her boss at the end of Sly 2, technically speaking, which was a badger. So there is technically someone else, it's just that we don't really explore that kind of bit. I can tell you already, using time does really nothing to keep exploring that.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Well, it's kind of tied to its own setting. Due to its setting of a time travel, we don't really focus on what's happening in the present as a result.
I also don't like what they do with Carmelita's character in that game either.
All in due time, Joe. No pun intended. Okay, now it's time for the beast to actually start hurting you personally. That's also another recurring thing. Dr. M has a bunch of these mutated animals, but every time what you need to hit is actually him, since he's the one controlling them.
You harpy witch! Why are the police invading my home.
I'm here to see that justice is done.
Justice? I'm the victim here, defending what's mine from thieves.
Looked to me like you were attempting to murder that man.
That man, please, you know this is Sly Cooper. You're as transparent as you are narrow-minded.
Like, sadly, I kind of had to agree with him, but it still doesn't change the fact that he was trying to murder him.
I'm no lawbreaker. It was all self-defense.
Yes, squeezing him till his guts spilled out was entirely self-defense.
Well, it's okay, Joe, because he literally drops the facade and just decides to kill her too.
Although I can throw you along.
Well, that was
You know,
because
Dr.
she
M,
said-
you kinda had the high ground, law-wise, until now, but whatever.
Well, to be fair, he kind of lost it when he was trying to murder Sly in cold blood, like I get knocking him out. But again, squeezing him till his guts split out, that would, that kind of goes a
Also,
bit beyond
again,
self-defense.
Peggy-free for original release.
Yeah.
I can't believe this idiot just brought it to me. He looks just like his father. He's just as dead.
By the way, I totally backstabbed his father in some way.
We actually no, that's not surprising that we don't mention it. Like you think
I know,
they
but wouldn't it have-
surely shored in like a pro when I say, "Oh, I secretly helped the Finnish Five reaching your family." No, it was just a coincidence, which I actually honestly prefer. You know, over trying to tie this up again to Clockwork where we didn't need it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, again, when I first played the game, I was
Yeah.
expecting they would do something like
Okay, now Sly is a bit out of commission, so we need to have a set of levels with Sly, the rest of the gang, and to try to retrieve the cane.
This women take it. Legit, eh? My main man, bro.
Won't be that simple. That's an electromagnetic buoy. Dr. M has set him up all around the island to snag approaching metal boats. We just lucked out that we came here in a wooden.
Actually, the ship has plenty of metal parts, Penelope. What the fuck are you talking? The candles are fucking metal! Oh my god.
that. It's because the majority of it is wooden.
Sure.
Yeah, just don't touch anything metal.
If you can convince some of the local sharks into joining you in an attack, it might be enough to break the buoy.
Alright, fair
I
enough.
can,
The first thing,
I convince we be the GTA 5 definition of the word convince.
first thing first, you need to use the guru to mind control some sharks into biting the buoy. Yes, really.
I'ma ride this shark.
Sharks to the buoy. Heads up, looks like Dr. M.
Also, Dr. M has a bunch of these like mines just waiting to spring like this for no reason. The guy is just super prepared.
I wonder how much wildlife has fallen victim to this.
Into an attack frenzy.
Well, to be fair, Dr. M has already rigged the island to have a bunch of, other animals, i.e., people for this universe, being essentially mutated and fused onto each other in grotesque abominations. So,
Yeah. Quick, shark, do a dolphin jump.
that's not how it goes. This mission is actually a bit tricky because the moment you fell into the water, you actually have to restart, not from scratch, but at least from the buoy, and you do lose a bit enough of health, meaning that, once again, you're not allowed to screw up too many times. It's fine for at first, but it goes on for a bit too long for me. Again, much like Sly 1, this is also the bit where the climax, the final level, tends to be a bit too rushed. So you don't have any more the hub world, you don't have the structure plans. Again, the way Sly 2 actually handled the entire final level was just fine. I really don't know what could have happened here to make this like a bit too not just rushed, but also a bit bloated for its own good. Because again, this final section actually goes on for quite a bit. And it makes sense a bit story-wise, but not just that. Being also the climax of the original trilogy, you will have to fight like quite a lot of bosses too.
I
No,
can
go ahead.
understand why they did it this way because apparently they did want this to be the big final hurrah of the series. So it makes sense that it would be something big here and there.
This is also the fact that the entire game is essentially built up to this, gathering the gang in order to perform the ultimate heist. The problem is that when you get down to it, the vast majority of the heist we have seen happens at the beginning. And sadly, we don't really get to reenact that by seeing it from the perspective of these characters we've recruited. We'll jump immediately back to when we cut in the medias res bit. And yeah, the bit with Carmelita, I need to say, is like, it's pretty cool. It's just that, again, then we have this quite prolonged section where we need to get back the cane. And trust me, it's not going to be just as easy just to, what we're doing with the sharks now. And then there's going to be the matter of also stopping Dr. M and then also getting into the Cooper vault and all. The game has built up enough stuff, but it has relatively little time to actually, close all of this.
Okay, so remind me, has it been confirmed that there was definitely a troubled development cycle with this game?
Honestly, I don't know. It's only speculation that I can have, to be honest. But that's what it feels like, more like, because compare this again to Slice 2's type of climax. That is not like super detailed like one of the previous episodes that he had, but you can definitely tell it has a better pace compared to the first game and this. This is not like the still as technically bad as the first game's pace. In terms of pace, it's not like a complete gauntlet where you barely have any time to breathe. There is a bit of levity here in what you do, but it's still not as paced well as the second game, to be honest. Like I said, we'll get this to the next part, but I really, really don't like the ending to boot. So.
Oh, really?
Oh well.
No.
Okay. I think I know what Tio's talking about. For me, it's not so much the ending, but it's what happens at the tail end of the ending. I'll just say this, Shiroi. So, Sucker Punch have sworn up and down that they did want this to be the last Sly game. Let me just say this. The ending really contradicts the notion that they actually did want to end things here.
To be fair, without spoiling, there is technically a sort of a sequel hook, but to be fair, to me, I can see instead of being, a thing of, we're just closing in now, but we're still leaving the possibility of franchise to continue if anyone else wants to pick up.
I get that. It's just the problem is like, the way they left it though. Well, I mean, it was a little too blatant of a sequel hook to the point where there was constantly people vying for the fourth game because of that. And not only that, but, it kind of feels like it was the kind of sequel hook that, unless someone just ignores it, did feel like it kind of constrained a future company to doing a certain story. But again, that is neither here nor there.
Alright, now it's time for Dimitri to do stuff.
But yeah, Tio, it's like I've said before. Oh.
These are dangerous waters, and I'm a big, strong, macho man.
Sure.
Well, at least he's confident.
Get over yourself.
Ooh.
Again, I really like Penelope's character. They put her a bit too much, maybe, in a damsel in distress moments, but they try to compensate that, by trying to have her not taking shit from others.
And she does rise up against.
And like I said, her actual boss fight against Le Puy is to me her personal highlight. So she don't get helped by anyone else. She actually gets shit done by herself. Anyway, now it's time for Dimitri to actually get the cane. And basically, it's kind of like similar to one of the levels in Spyro 3, one of the early ones, when one of the missions is for you to actually go through that speed-up tunnel. Only that this time you had to dodge these giant pincers because Dr. M, of course, is also trying to get the cane on one of his creations, and you need to dodge them at the right time. This is trial. Sorry, give me a second. This is trial and error at its worst because the game gives you very little pre-warning where the pistols come from, so you have like a split-second reaction in where to actually dodge. And keep in mind, unless you actually modify them, the controls are kind of in reverse for when you dodge, similar to flying controls, because it's easy for some players. So if you don't have if you're not very used to these kind of controls, you can kind of get screwed really fast, which culminates also in an underwater boss fight with Dimitri against Dr. M. Very interesting. Go on, Jova.
It's like I said to you, it's like, well, when it comes to a lot of mascot platformers here, first game, it's often a good entry. With faults, yes, but that's because it's a first entry. Then, more often than not, it feels like the second installment is the one that refines stuff extremely well to the point of near perfection. Like, Crash Bandicoot 2, Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, which is apparently now how it's called over in the UK thanks to the remake. And, it's okay, Dwibs. It's a better name anyway.
He hardly even rages in that game.
Like I said, I
disagree because it's such a generic name. I'm so sorry.
I don't like the European name, but only on a minor detailed level. If it was called Gateway to Avalar instead of Gateway to Glimmer, it would have been perfectly fine to me.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, we can at least see that Ripto does actually rage in that game at points, but what the hell does Glimmer have to do with anything in that game?
It's the first
world that you're in.
It's the first world you actually enter in, but yikes. To mention your point, Jova.
Speaking of weird name changes, the PS3 collection of this game has different names depending on where you are. It's the Sly Collection in North America, the Sly Trilogy in Europe and Australia, and Sly Cooper Collection in Asia.
Huh. But anyway, back to my point about the mascot platformer thing is like, well, Sonic, ironically, seems to be the exception to this rule, seeing as how with Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that pretty much is the one that refined the gameplay arguably the best. And,
okay, Jova, not talking about Sonic, but I can tell you this, at least for the PS2 Trinity, I tend to prefer, in terms of third game, I think as for third game better than the previous two. I think both Ratchet 3, I forgot what it's called, the original, Full Frontal Assault, no, that's way later down the line. I forgot what it's called, whatever, because my country is called Ratchet & Clank 3 only. Ratchet & Clank 3 to me is the better of the original trilogy, and as much as it's kind of a mess in terms of development, I kind of prefer the Jack 3 over the previous two games, because it kind of refines a bit of everything. It has like one moment that I don't like in terms of, because it has one fourth wall breaking moment out of nowhere, but it's a bit cringy. Apparently with the second game we did it a bit better on that front. But aside from that, I actually like that. So like it feels only Line 3 was a bit rougher on that edge.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to argue with you about Jack 3 being better than Jack 2.
Like I said, I prefer it also compared to the first one, because it still does refine a bit better also the platforming controls, and it has added the vehicle elements from the second game, but also refined so they're not a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, that too. But yeah, Sonic, Ratchet, and Jack, we can call those exceptions, but yeah, Sly Cooper does seem to fall into that trend. Sly 3 is still my favorite of the series, but I could see how somebody could feel that it has flaws that 2 did not have, like arguably some of the pacing and some of the different gameplay styles, which, all the gameplay styles, they technically work just fine. That said, they all have qualities that could have definitely have been improved in the sequel.
Honestly, Java, I still don't understand this kind of logic, because this feels more like a one-time thing. Rather than having to be continued.
Well, okay. You could argue that it is sort of a one-time thing as well.
Also, the fucking fish explodes. Peggy 3, guys.
It was a mechanical one, it's fine.
No, it was biological, Java. Remember, Dr. M does that kind of thing.
As far as we saw, the exterior was metal.
Yeah, to be fair, we don't see the intestines or anything, so I guess it's fine.
Dr. M probably just hollowed it out.
Jesus. Anyway, sadly, Dr. M recovered the cane, so we're in a bit of a tight spot.
Kind of makes that level a bit pointless, sadly.
No, to be fair, no, because remember he hadn't got the cane until that point, so Dimitri did try to stop him until the last. So.
And yeah, like Pinocchio said, he did literally take down an under-mechanical monster.
No, Dimitri.
Dimitri, no. Dimitri, no. It would only end in heartbreak anyway.
Remember rules 1 and 2.
Yeah, get over it. Yeah.
Both before my magnificent. Yum yum. Give me some.
But yeah, though.
Yeah, just I should go.
In regards to my point, though, Tio, it's like, again, they're adding on to the Cooper Gang, and you would think that, okay, so we're expanding the Cooper Gang, so why not retain that and improve it in the sequel?
Like I said, even before Fusing Time came out, I got the idea that, again, this was a one-time thing, and the new members would have not stick out. Maybe Penelope, maybe, but not really the others.
Well, that's funny, Tio, because the advertisement really cranked the heck out of Dimitri for Thieves in Time. Almost to the point where people thought he was going to have so much as a line in Thieves in Time.
No, Dr. M managed to get away with it.
Then we gotta go.
You're going nowhere, pal.
Anyways, Lai has recovered officially, but without the cane he can really do jack shit, but...
Wait a second. Penelope, have you completed that work we talked about on your RC car?
Oh.
Oh, I see where you're going. Work. Smash the drones, siphon their power, and fry the tower's matrix.
Perfect. Let's get your car onto a drone.
So yeah,
Too obvious in exposing my ignorance, but what in the world?
just let the scientists do their works, like.
Explaining it would include a lot of multisyllabic words. I could just show you.
Yeah, might as well.
You know what they say? Tell. I mean, show, don't tell.
With the fireworks, it will fly as the bird.
Tell, don't tell.
That's the steel car. Anyway, for this actually you need to use Penelope's RC car to actually race through this track and destroy the other cars and collect their energy that they released. In order to attack them, you actually have pistols this time, not actually a turret. Once you complete enough, you collect enough, you can actually open one of those gates and use the car to smash into one of those towers. After you've done that, Sly will be able to use the plane in order to destroy the actual anti-air maneuvers that Dr. M has pulled all over the island. Go on, Jova.
So Tio, I ask, why do you think people should think, though, that this will be a one-off thing, though? Because, again, when a game introduces something new, unless it's something that's directly tied into the story.
It's for a specific job. It's similar to stuff like the Oceans movie, where, like, again, it seems that there are people only required for this kind of job, only that, it's not gonna like a thing that's gonna stick out that much.
Again, okay, maybe I would agree with you, but again, there's the problem that the advertisement of Thieves in Time kind of had people believing that, the whole expanded
I can tell you this, the advertisement only told me that it was gonna be mission control. I didn't know in what specific capacity, to be honest.
Wait, who was gonna be mission control?
Dimitri.
Oh, well,
Which he still is, they just did not actually dub him for some reason.
He doesn't really get to say or do anything in Thieves in Time, despite him getting voice dialogue in the advertisements. And again, well, when people see one member back, who's to say that they shouldn't expect all the others here and there? And now look, I'm not saying that they needed to bring him back. I'm just saying that I can understand why people would be a bit surprised and maybe upset that they didn't bring back all the other playable characters, and just refine their gameplay better. Especially given some of the complaints with some of the gameplay in Thieves in Time, but again, saying that might spoil the surprise of Thieves in Time.
Oop.
Oop, indeed. But yeah,
This actually is a relatively okay. It has the fun factor, but there's the fact also that the cars are constantly throwing projectiles at you, so you might get a bit annoyed by how much shit gets thrown at you. But it's still manageable, especially compared to the previous two sections. You actually have seen it. I didn't make it look. I made it look a bit easy. But that underwater boss fight with Dimitri can take quite a bit, and you still have to manage your health through. Again, this is still the final set of gauntlet missions, meaning that the difficulty gets ramped up.
But yeah, honestly, it's not just platformers that also seem to have that pattern too, but other forms of genres as well. That's it though. My thing about this is this though, like with Crash Bandicoot Free, this third game introduces a lot, and I do mean a lot of different playstyles here. That said though, thankfully they all feel like they work fine enough, you know? Like Crash 3, it doesn't keep the game from being awesome, and in a lot of people's cases, their favorite of the trilogy, because, you know, often by the third game, you should definitely at least have the core gameplay down well enough to deliver arguably the best experience based on...
Yeah, like, again, you wanted an example that wasn't a platformer, Jova, Devil May Cry 3.
Devil May Cry 3, and of course, Ace Attorney 3, which, you know, by that point, the formula had been locked down.
Okay,
tight,
for a visual novel, it's a tad different because... Give me a second, Waves. For Ace Attorney, for visual novels, it's a bit different because the gameplay is inherently tied to its plot, so it has to actually go in tandem with that.
One thing we have to remember, Tio, Ace Attorney is not just a straight-up visual novel. It's much more of a hybrid, and unlike a lot of other visual novels, it has a lot more gameplay-like ways that you can actually fail here and there, and it also ties into its adventure half as well with the point-and-click stuff. Again, all stuff that had to be refined over the course of the trilogy as well.
Bentley, I can see them. There you go. I wasn't seeing the subs.
I'm in. I've rested long enough.
You sure?
But Sly, gameplay without your cane.
You think I want to sit this one out?
Understood. The biplane launcher, although untested, should get you a lot.
Yes, we're gonna use a galleon as an airplane launcher.
Sure, why not?
Oh, actually, no, never mind. He's gonna use the other where he started. Anyway, biplane section that's identical to the ones that you did in the Neverlands, so basically same rules apply here. There are ammo packs all over the place, but you need to conserve your health.
Now, I will say this. While Sly Free is definitely my favorite of the games overall, I will say this, that in terms of actual mainline villains, I think Neela is still my favorite. I mean, when you get down to it, in the end, she technically is Clockwork as well, so...
And also, she's the one that actually won, technically, I guess. Yes,
So you got the soundtrack from Seinfeld here, have you?
No, it's Combat 7. I say, why not? I might as well put in something that's themed up, you know, flying and everything. But yeah, I get what you mean, Jova.
What about you? What's your favorite overall villain?
Oh, Neela, don't get me wrong. Dr. M, I still believe it. Dr. M is a fantastic addition, and rest his soul, Rick May actually does a fantastic job voicing him. But I do believe we could have been foreshadowed on him a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Not in a sense that he needed to be connected to the villains, but also having from episode to episode something like a brief thing where the game reflects a bit on what's going on tied to him. Maybe.
Oh, pretty much. My only issue with him is that he lacks presence in comparison to the last two overarching
Which is, again, this is tied to the structure of Life 3 as a whole. I don't mind the idea that they drop to the whole, you know, each episode builds up till the end, you know, on a constant level like the second game, where it could get potentially a bit stressing, you know, especially when they double down on the dark stuff. But this structure, while actually more giving way more levity, can bring the problem of not having your villain properly foreshadowed, like Jova said.
I think in a way, okay, to compare this to Ace Attorney, 1 and 2 are like the Ace Attorney 1 and 3 of the original trilogy. This game, plot-wise, is more resemblant to Justice for All. The one that does technically have a series of events connecting them, but overall, they're not really that widely connected. Sure, yes, you could say that it is technically Phoenix destroying him, discovering what it truly means to be a lawyer, but unlike Ace Attorney 1, which had DL6 and hell, even Rise of the Ashes, you could argue with Ace Attorney 1 being overall the reformation of the law system locally there. And Ace Attorney 3, of course, had the Dahlia struggle as well. Ace Attorney 2, okay, yes. Madame Guard was a fantastic final villain, but he's just the villain of that case in particular. Manfred von Karma and Damon Gant were arguably the villains of their entire games. Dahlia was unquestionably the main antagonistic force of Ace Attorney 3.
And now you get another boss fight against a flying dragonfly whale. Of course.
So did the dragonfly come that big, or did he just inhumanely enlarge it?
The wings, probably. It's a whale with dragonfly wings attached to it, so...
That's why I asked if the dragonfly came bigger.
Dr. M is not really a good person, Jova.
Nah.
And yeah,
you're telling me that the guy who poisoned one of his own
boss fight
mooks
starts
is the
easy
bad
because
guy?
you need to just get close to the whale hybrid and just destroy the missiles when they get close to you. But as it progresses, it starts to become more similar to a proper Galaga/Gradius type of boss. Because, if I recall correctly, it's gonna start releasing this weird laser shit we need to avoid.
Oh, is that like a whale sonar?
If it is, it's very tangible, Jova.
Well, Tio, of course, in his many ways,
And of course,
he gave
this
the whale
also makes the frame rate tank big time.
I guess he just gave the whale superpowers while he was
Thankfully for this, you have unlimited ammo, so you don't have to worry getting the ammo pack. Thankfully.
Okay, now if it were me writing this series, I think I would have switched around aspects of 2 and 3. Like, again, maybe have the more loosely connected plot be that of 2, and then for 3, have the whole Clockwork thing be, you know, the thing for the finale, seeing as how Clockwork was there from the start, so it makes sense that it should
I get what you mean.
And again,
It could be potential situations where Sucker Punch might have the load too much early with 2, so they thought they could not replicate that, so they settled down for something more local. Which again, like I said, it's fine by me. You know, I don't really have. Gameplay-wise, I don't really have a problem with this game. To be honest, like I said, it still refines a lot.
Honestly, even with the story problems, at the end of the day, this is a perfectly fine conclusion to a trilogy.
You also have to remember the ideal target. Whatever, regardless of how much shit they get away with, this was still marketed as PG-3 for a younger audience and everything. Sure, it's nice that they constructed plots, gameplay, and characters that could be appeased also for an older audience. But we also have to remember what was the target.
I mean,
this is painful. Like,
that said, though, despite its PEGI-3 rating,
hashtag cancel Dr. M.
Go to Twitter. You will go.
There you go.
Twitter. Goodbye.
Oh, it's not over yet.
That's nice to know.
Literally laughing.
That's,
I mean, what else? Well, yeah, duh.
Yeah, it's time to improvise a bit. Might as well. So yeah, we have to actually parachute on top of a fucking dragonfly whale. Why not?
Steady.
Hello.
Boop.
Remember, we still don't have the cane, so.
You don't know anything about me or my father.
Oh, I love this line coming up.
I am your father.
Sweeney works for you? This was all a setup to get the cane.
Surprise!
No, actually, no. It was pure coincidence.
Yeah, I know.
Next
it's
winning
just
was the
again-
equivalent of Murray, and Dr. M was the equivalent of Bentley. There was kind of a parallel.
Steal from the Cooper vault, let alone attempt to kill his son.
Time does strange things to people. Gus, the real leader of your gang.
Oh.
Bentley.
Whatever, we're friends, equal.
Then why is it called the Cooper Gang?
Ah.
Second egomaniac.
You're really doing this?
No, we're not.
These are the kinds. This is what I.
Thank you, game.
Just shut the fuck up. Also,
Yeah.
again, he's the villain. Why should I pay attention to what you say? Like,
You know, again,
Yeet.
that's one thing I do like about Sly. He snarks a lot, but man, when it's time to get serious, he gets serious.
all right, time to open the Cooper vault and enter it for realsies this time.
Plot twister stuff, you get it.
That would have been an interesting twist. Like the real treasure was the
It's the
experience
friends we
that
made all along
you
the
made
way.
along the way.
Inside the vault, and I want you and Murray to come with me. We're a team.
Aww.
We should do
It's
this
about family.
And you know, there's all our other teammates, but just you two.
Yeah. See what I mean, Joe? I get the idea that the others are just for bear. Oh, also, yeah, Panda King, like I mentioned, did fucking nothing in this final episode.
Buckle up, Bentley. We're about to
But don't you see, he lit the van on fire so it could lift them.
That's nice, but how will you get it off after we're done?
We'll improvise.
No, Bentley will do worse things with that van. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, tune in next time for the epic conclusion of the original trilogy. See ya.
According to this, you're
Yeah.
only 53% done.
See ya.